We have a wintry day here today, ladies and gentlemen. We're recording Wednesday, but this is, of course, Thursday that the post is being posted. You know what I was saying the other day about it being a dry and mild winter? I ain't seen no sign of that yet, but maybe it's out there somewhere. I went for a walk. In fact, I only just got back here in time to meet Pete. Here in the garage for the recording of the Court of Public Opinion, I was walking down Osmond Terrace here in Adelaide. My God, that's a beautiful street. I mean, it really is a beautiful street. And it's only really, well, the houses, little quaint stone houses and turn of the century before last kind of houses. But it's the trees, English plane trees, lining both sides with this great common in the middle. Green, 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 green. And of course the leaves have dropped and the road and the sidewalk is, I won't say ankle deep, but it's deep in leaves. All the plane trees have lost their leaves. And I looked at them as I shuffled through them a little while ago, and I thought to myself, this is the secret of the environment. Nature, with these beautiful, great, big plane tree leaves that die, they fill themselves with carbon during their green life, pumping out oxygen, absorbing the CO2, and then they fall on the ground. Now, we shouldn't burn them. We should put them in the garden so that the carbon goes back to the ground. Nature came up with this wonderful cycle, which is just perfect. But we don't always recognise perfection when we see it, do we? Before we get into the stuff of the day, instead of me shuffling through leaves on Osmond Terrace, some birthdays. Oh, very important birthday, this one. Well, it's June the 15th. June the 15th, 2000, no, far away from 2000. 1215 the year King John signs the Magna Carta at Runnymede near Windsor in England, which was the guarantee of everything that we hold sacred as broadly we could describe as freedom. 2015, 800-year anniversary of the birthplace of modern democracy. Of course, democracy, its birthplace was Greece, in all honesty. The signing of the Magna Carta by King John, 1215. What else happened? Waylon Jennings. I like Waylon Jennings, American country singer and guitarist. I'm a ramblin' man. He was born in Littlefield, Texas. He died in 2002, but he was born on this day in 1937. Charles Goodyear patents the vulcanized, he patents vulcanized rubber. He had, of course, already patented the tyre made out of vulcanized rubber, I guess. That was 1844 on this day. So driving along on rubber tyres, particularly the inflatable ones, red letter day. Fitzroy MacLean, first baronet, Scottish adventurer, soldier, writer, politician, who was the inspiration for Ian Fleming's James Bond, dies at 85 on this day in 1996. Fitzroy MacLean. I didn't know that. Pete, did you know that name?
No.
Golly. Anyway, Abel Tasman returns to Batavia after discovering Tasmania, 1643. Now, there's a pretty place. Oh, just beautiful, Tasmania. The Ford Motor Company manufactures its 10th millionth automobile, and the year was 1924. Golly! I've got a... what have I got of Mr. Ford? I've got a Mustang and a Thunderbird. But there were a few hiccups. We have to admit, there were a few hiccups. But by and large, Ford make lovely cars. Harry Nilsson, American pop and rock singer, songwriter, everybody's talking, Without You, born Brooklyn. Died in 1994, born this day in 1941. Physicist Stephen Hawking. His ashes are interred at Westminster Abbey in London. He lies and is memorialised, if I can use that word, between Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin. Wow. I have an ancestor buried in Westminster Abbey. That's another story. Long story. How he got there, I'm not exactly sure. Like most things, it's who you know. Not what you know, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter. I digress. That was 1941. Harry Nilsson was born. Austria uses paper currency for the first time. First nation in the world to use paper currency. 1762. Bob Dylan records the single Like a Rolling Stone. Wow. Number 1, Rolling Stone magazine in the 500 greatest songs of all time. Pete, what would you put as the number 1 greatest song of all time?
For me...
Yeah, well, you pick.
Yeah, I'd say Gordon Lightfoot, Looking at the Rain is my...
Looking at the Rain.
Which most people haven't heard of, but it's just a beautiful song.
I liked Nana Mouskouri doing Don't Worry. Don't worry. It sums up everything that you... But if you're looking for a message, I suppose, from a song, I just look for something lovely to listen to.
So do I.
Yeah. The flag of Denmark. Wow, I didn't know that. 1219. The flag of Denmark, the oldest flag in the world.
While you're talking about flags,
Yeah.
today is USA's National Flag Day.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. They honour the flag. In fact, you see all over America, the smallest, most humble house and the biggest, most grand mansion, he or she or they will fly the American flag. God, they're proud of the flag. And so they should be. We all should be proud of our flags. We're a bit confused about flags, but, be that as it may. Casey Kasem, American radio personality, creator of the American Top 40 News, Weather and Sport. Anyway, he was also the voice of Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. He dies from dementia at 82, 2014. Yeah, I didn't know the Danish flag was the oldest national flag in the world. That's interesting. Yuri Andropov, General Secretary of the Communist Party, born 1914, and Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, both born on the same day, different years. Yuri was 1914 and Xi was 1953. And the first fully documented human blood transfusion is performed by a French physician with a small amount of sheep blood transfused into a 15-year-old boy who survived the procedure. 1667. 1667. That's pretty amazing. They keep telling me that, and I don't know that I actually believe it, I've not talked to anyone who's sort of contested it, but during the war in the Philippines or in the islands, when the Americans had no blood to give soldiers who needed it needed new blood, a transfusion, they used coconut milk. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I've heard it many times from various different people. Coconut milk used in transfusions to save the lives of soldiers in the War of the Pacific. If you know anything about that, tell me. Robert E. Lee, his home, which was called Arlington, the place is called Arlington, his house was called Arlington. Robert E. Lee, the head of the Confederate forces in the Civil War. Arlington, Virginia, his home becomes the National Military Cemetery. I've been there. There you will see the graves of all of the heroes of the United States, including presidents, obviously John Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and many, many others. But that's amazing, that was his house. 1864, Robert E. Lee's home becomes the military cemetery. That was sort of, 1 year before the end of the Civil War. 2010, have I run out of time?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes ago. Oh, God help me. All right, one more. Film actor and producer Harrison Ford, 67. He weds actress and Golden Globe winner Callista Flockhart, who was 45 and just beautiful. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, they're still married. That was in 2010. Sorry, I got carried away. But the dates are interesting. You can learn a lot from history. I don't know that history is repeating itself, but when I saw this earlier today, there's a new Beatles song. It's called Now and Then. Did you hear that, Pete?
Yes.
Now and Then. I haven't heard it yet, and they won't release it, but it'll be number one anyway. I think it's a lay down misère that it will be. And it will be the last Beatles song. An old John Lennon demo, resurrected from a cassette. No high fidelity or anything. And it was all done with the help of AI, artificial intelligence. People, I think, groups and singers are going to have to patent their sound, I would imagine, because the next step will be that AI, artificial intelligence, will be able to do it better, and do it well once you've got the technology in there. Whether it's a newsreader or a singer or a grand opera star, but I don't know where it'll end. I'm glad I won't probably be around to see it. 6 months ago, the South Australian government was forecasting a budget surplus. Well, today, the Treasurer will hand down, or more correctly, hand us, a $249 million deficit. How to explain that? Ooh, gee. Well, let's see. We had to spend a lot of money on health. Yep. And oh yes, the floods. The floods. We can spend that. Yep. Mind you, he's out there, and they are all out there. This is not to be critical of Premier Malinauskas, because I think basically he's doing a very good job. He's certainly a master salesman. Poster boy, really. Probably a future federal leader of the Labour Party, I would think. Anyway, that's for another day. American inflation is down to 4%. 4%? Was hanging around nervously the 8% mark. 4%. The considerably higher interest rates that they have in America, higher than Australia, are clearly doing their job. The medicine is working. very well. And that, of course, immediately takes the pressure off the interest rates. An interesting article in The Australian, talking about the amount of money we spend on healthcare, which of course is really sickness care. More emphasis should be on keeping people out of hospital, rather than worrying about them when they're in hospital, or how to cope with them when they need to go to hospital. And of course all of that goes down to lifestyle issues, really. We do ourselves a lot of harm. We do have the freedom of choice, however. What about carrots and sticks? We do the right healthy thing and we get a reward. Maybe you get a discount on your private health insurance, or there's something that could be done to encourage people to go the right way. But whether we choose, in this wonderful free egalitarian world, to go the wrong way or the right way, we just have to take responsibility and not send somebody else the bill. There's talk today, sadly, about David Jones department stores. Once, I don't know what you'd call it, the dazzle land of department stores in Australia. David Jones department stores in trouble. Domino's Pizzas are looking to close stores, not just in Australia, by the way. But this is big. Instant Brands, responsible for some of the biggest cookware brands in the world, including Pyrex, has gone under with debts of more than $500 million. I don't like these bankruptcy stories one bit. I really don't. Because there are a lot of lives and dreams and hopes and ambitions and careers that just get trashed, and some never recover. I want to talk to you about Senator Katie Gallagher. She has offered a full denial to the Senate that she misled Parliament back in 2021 when she said no one in her party had knowledge of Brittany Higgins' allegations of rape inside Parliament House. How could she possibly have had knowledge that no one in her party had any knowledge? And when Katie Gallagher got up and pooh-hooed any suggestion that she had misled Parliament, her colleagues, probably quite reasonably, closed ranks, all well and good, I can't see how possibly this could sit with the evidence that is on hand. How are you going to deny all that material? How are you going to deny her own words? She went on to say, we want Parliament to be a workplace that sets the example of other workplaces, or for other workplaces, where staff will not be harassed or assaulted, where they can feel supported and confident enough to come forward and report these things. Well, I don't know what inhibited Brittany from coming forward when, on that night of the alleged rape, she was quite free to call security, who would have then obviously called police, then and there. My mind goes back to an interview that I did with Janine Haines. The name might ring a bell with you. I found her a lovely lady. Janine Haines, who was with the Democrats, in fact led the Democrats for a while, a lot of years ago. That interview that I did with her shortly after she arrived in Canberra, fresh from South Australia, made the front page of almost every newspaper around Australia. In fact, I'd say it did make the front page of every newspaper around Australia. It rang a bell. She had gone to Canberra, and I said to her, what have you noticed most about the place? Very general question. And she said, amazingly, spontaneously, the bed hopping. The bed hopping. She said, everyone is on with everyone. Everybody is screwing somebody. It was quite amazing. Well, the cartoonist, you could imagine, had an absolute field day. We made international news, the 5D morning show. The media had a field day. I got some pretty good ratings out of it. In fact, helped me win a Walkley, as a matter of fact. I came to the conclusion, though, that Canberra was isolated from mainstream Australia. Morality, morally, spiritually and financially. Not what you need from the political capital of your nation, I wouldn't think. But sticking it out there in the middle of nowhere wouldn't help. People would imagine that they would set the ethical and moral rules and regulations and standards and didn't live up to any of them. Now, you can go to the archives if you want to, and you can find that interview. I'm sure it's there somewhere. Janine Haynes on the subject of bed hopping in Canberra. Katie Gallagher, you should look at that. Did your colleagues know anything about that way back in the day? I don't know. And just before I leave you, I've never heard of these people before. The Social Progress Index has announced that Canberra is the best place in Australia to live. No wonder. You feel like moving, Pete? They could rename it Peyton Place, couldn't they? No. Thanks for viewing the Court of Public Opinion, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back tomorrow to round up the week. Believe in yourself. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Pete and I will be back. Bye for now.